I'm Jamie Shepherd with Hazel and Ruby, and I'm going to show you how to make our darling Dreamcatcher today. This is one of our Crafternoon kits, and probably one of my favorite projects, so let's get started. It comes in this fun little kit, and I'm going to show you all the things that you get. So when you open it up, you've got your hoop. You've also got all the trims, the laces, gingham ribbons, just some of my favorite trims. And then we've got our yarn, burlap, and a floral trim. We're going to be making this with a crocheted doily that's already done for you. And then we have our fabric strips. So lots of fun things in this kit. It's really easy to do. You can do your own kind of personality as you're working along, but I'm going to show you how I do it. And then you're, of course, welcome to do it any way you wish. So to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to take this hoop, and I'm going to use my polka dot. And what I'm going to do is just tie a little knot right in the hoop somewhere. And it doesn't really matter the placement because it is a hoop, so there's no right or wrong way. So just like that. And then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take this ribbon, actually this is a fabric, and you're just going to wrap it. And I like to pull this kind of in a diagonal direction. Just kind of pulling it through the hoop as you go. And you're just going to continue until you have this whole entire hoop covered. And as you move along, just kind of hold on to the last trims that you have wrapped. It helps to keep it tight. And like I mentioned earlier, just make sure that you are pulling it tightly as you move along the hoop. Okay, so now that we're to the end of where we started, we're just going to go ahead and I just take the part that I started with and kind of tuck it in, and then I'm going to wrap this end around it so that I pull it all together. Just like so. Now you could do one of two things here. You could take this and use a hot glue gun and just cut it off, or what I like to do is take this and kind of make another knot and then make a little loop. So then I've got a fun little loop to hang it with. So I'll just do that, and then I will go ahead and tie another knot to make a loop. And there's probably lots of better ways to make this loop than I did, but you just get these knots tight and then you've got your loop for your hoop. Okay, so from here, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to lay our hoop in the middle of the table, and we're going to use our crocheted doily. So it looks a little small, and what's great about this is that it's going to stretch because we're going to actually be weaving the yarn around the hoop. So just lay the crocheted doily right in the center of your hoop, and the next thing you're going to want to do is take your till yarn, and you're going to cut these into 12 5.5-inch strips. So as you can see, I've already got mine cut, and I'm just going to take these, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my 12 points. I've already got one kind of started. I'll just put this out here so you can see it, but I'm going to show you how I loop it in. So you'll notice the ends, they start to fray a little bit, so I would just take it and twist it with your finger, and then you're going to put it through one of the holes into the hoop right here. And you're going to just very loosely wrap it around the end. I'm not having you double knot it right now because I want you to be able to, pull it tighter as you move around the hoop. So just make a little knot just to kind of attach it, and then we'll make it shorter or longer depending on how it's working out around the hoop. And so from here I would do the opposite side, and I'm going to do that as I work around. So I'm just going to turn my hoop. Like so. And again, don't double knot it yet. We're going to do that later. But you can kind of see it starting to pull it a little bit tighter. So now you're going to go to the opposite side. And then again over on the opposite side of the hoop. And this way it's going to be able to pull that crochet doily evenly. You'll see as you work around the hoop, moving from one opposite side to the other, that you're going to get a really consistent length with your yarn. And you can adjust as well. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start weaving our crochet doily into our hoop along with the till yarn that we've already put in there. So I've got one started. I'm going to show you just how easy and fun this is. What you're going to do is you're going to take your variegated yarn. That's this pretty multicolored yarn, which is one of my favorites. I love this stuff. It's so pretty, beautiful colors. And you're going to take that and you're just going to start weaving it around. So these are 12, 13.5-inch lengths. That's what you need. Let's do a pink one. I've already done a couple on here, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is just simply tie one end to the end of my till. And this is how I'm going to start attaching it. And this is part of the reason why we didn't want to tie it off in double knots. And we didn't want to trim these yet because we are tying these all together. So you're going to go ahead and tie that. So now you've got this one attached, and what you're going to do is just go ahead and loop that through. And you can see the space in between this loop and this loop, and so you're just going to keep wrapping it around. So let me show you how I do that. And just kind of pull it tight, not too tight, but just enough to keep your tension as it is with the current doily in the center. And again, if your ends start to fray, just kind of twist that. Sometimes getting it wet helps a little bit too, but you can just kind of twist that end to keep the fray out. It makes it easier to get through these holes as well. So you're going to pull that through and just keep going. You've got these different size holes along the edge of the doily. Some of them are a little bit easier than others, so it may be helpful to use just like a little end of a pencil to push your yarn through if you don't have longer nails or small enough fingers. But you'll find that you're going to get different, with the different, you can see this has a deeper inside, and so I'm not going to be able to wrap as much as I am on this one right here, for example. So I've got 4 loops, where on this one I've got 3, and that's totally okay. You're just going to wrap it enough so that you can bring it around, and then you're going to attach the variegated yarn to the till on this other end. Now at this point, once I've got my ends tied, I'm going to do double knots. And then once we weave the whole thing, we'll go through and trim. So you won't see all those ends. Just like so. So I've got that one done. And I just kind of, once I'm done with this whole thing, I'll just kind of shift the yarn around, but you can see how easy it is to move it around. Then we will start on our next one. So let's go with, we'll just keep moving around the circle. And again, I'm going to tie this to my till and make a little knot. All right, so now we are down to the last section here, and I'm just looping these through, pulling it tightly as I go. As you can see how my crochet has moved to the center as I've been winding each one, weaving it through. And I love that it all has just a little bit of a different look. It's not perfect, and it's not supposed to be, so don't worry if yours is not exactly centered. That's what makes it unique. Okay, so I've got my last weaving. So I will just go ahead and attach this to the end of this till. Now I've been cutting my ends off as I go, just it kind of helps me keep in order and not get kind of distracted by the next weave that I'm working on. So make sure those are all in tight little double knots, and then you just go through and trim off all the ends. Cutting it pretty close to the knot, and then from there you can see, oops, I missed one right here. Let me cut that one off. So from here you can kind of see, you just kind of shift your yarn around so that it's more evenly placed. And if you've got some knots that are kind of coming to the front, you can just go ahead and move them to the back. And then find any little stragglers, and then you have your loop all weaved. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our tills. So you've got a little bit of extra yarn from your variegated and from the till, so we're going to take that and we're going to use that for our first few knots. And you should have enough to do about two pieces. So you've got these 2, and I'm going to cut these in half, so now I can do 2 tills with the yarn. So now I've got my 4 pieces for that one. You're going to take your floral trim. I love this pretty floral fabric, and you're going to cut this one into, let's see, We're going to cut it into 4 pieces. So I would just, break it in half, or fold it in half, and then cut it. And then you're just going to go ahead and fold it in half again. Now you've got 4 pieces. Okay, so from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tie these on to the bottom of my hoop. So I'm just going to do a simple knot. The fabric is showing on both sides, so it doesn't really matter. And I love the little fray. I love the strings that come out. If this is something that bothers you, you could go ahead with a sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch if that's something that you're used to. But kind of the whole point of the Dreamcatcher is to make it be really organic and just fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my center, and I'm going to split the center with 2 of the florals so that I have it all evenly placed. And you can design this really any way that you want to. You could put all your florals to one side, all your lace down the middle. It's totally up to you, and that's what makes it fun, is it's your project, so you do what you like best. So here's my center. I'm just going to go ahead and tie a knot just off center because I'm going to be splitting the middle with these 2. And this is just a simple knot right around the hoop, so I'm just going to sneak right in there, and I'm going to do a double knot so that it's really secure. And I will do that on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to take the other 2 and just go on my outer edges. So I want my Dreamcatcher to kind of fall, you can kind of see on the finished one already, kind of how far out I went. So you just determine how far you want, and then from these 2 ends is going to fill in the rest of your trims. And then this one. Ouch. Okay, and then I'm going to take my 4 remaining pieces of yarn and just tie those anywhere I want to. I'm going to do these next to the floral trim, just to kind of keep a consistency. And you're going to get trims that are different lengths, and that's okay. That's another part that makes this unique and keeps it really organic and free looking. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to come together. I'm starting to kind of take shape of what it's going to look like. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the rest of my trims, and we're going to do a little bit different technique as far as how we add these to the Dreamcatcher. So just go ahead and start unwinding your different ribbons. I'll start with this scallop right here. And we're going to cut this one into 3 different pieces. You could probably even, if you wanted a little bit more, just depending on how long you want it to be, you could cut it into shorter pieces as well, if you'd like a shorter Dreamcatcher. So to figure out my 3 lengths, I'm just going to kind of do like this. I'm just going to kind of guesstimate with my eyes. You can get out a measuring stick if you want, but this is the easy way for me to figure out into 3s from 1 piece of ribbon. And again, they don't have to be exact. It does not need to be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we're going to do the rest of the trims, and this is going to be a loop technique as far as how we're adhering it to the Dreamcatcher. What you're going to do is you're going to fold your trim in half, and you're going to take that the half part, and you're going to loop that through the bottom, through the back side, just like so. So you can see that there's kind of a loop here. Take your tails of your ribbon, and you're going to loop them through the hole, through the rabbit ears, kind of like tying your shoes, I guess, and then you're just going to pull that tight. And that way we've got kind of a double strand for each of these trims. So I'll go ahead and attach these. And I'm not being very particular about oops, I started to do it the wrong way. I'm not going to be very particular about how I want them as far as like placement goes, because I love it to be really random from this point out. And you can also loop it through the front. You can see it just has a different look. So if you want to loop it through the front first, you'll get this side showing, and vice versa. So either way is just fine. You could do some of both. Okay, so we've got one more of this one. And I just spread the yarn apart. Okay, now we've got all the scallop. The gingham trim, you're also going to, sorry, the scallop trim, you're also going to cut into 3 different pieces. So again, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it into 3 exact lengths. And then same thing, we're going to do our loop technique just to add these onto the hoop. I think this time I'll come from the front. And then just pull your tails through and pull it tight. Okay, and then your lace. We have a little bit more of this lace, so you get to do a few more trims on this one. We're going to cut this one into 4 even pieces. So I'll start just by cutting it right in half. And then we'll take and cut these in half. So as you can see, this is a great project that you could just do sitting on the couch, watching a show. You could take it to a ball game. It's really fun. And then you can, give these away as gifts. What I'm going to do with this one is put it in my daughter's room. We redid her room, and these colors are perfect. So she's excited about this for her bedroom. And still, we're just doing that same loop technique. The only time that I did the knots was on those first 4 trims. Actually, first 8 trims. We did the floral and the 4 yarn pieces. So I'm loving how this is turning out. You can see that it's starting to get really full. Coming along nicely. And then we've got 2 more trims left. We have got our burlap trim. And I'll just go ahead and take both of these off at the same time. We'll get them both cut. And if you feel like you may want to get an iron out and iron these, because they have been wrapped around the card, so that would probably be helpful. Okay, so both of these we're going to cut into 4 pieces. So first just cut it in half. And then same with this one, 4 pieces. Okay, so these are the last remaining trims that we need to put on here. I'm going to go ahead and do the burlap, and like I said, you might want to grab an iron and just get these to be a little bit more smooth and flat. And same technique, we're just going to be looping these. And you can go into the same holes that you've already done when you're adding this trim as well. Like I mentioned, it just kind of doesn't matter. It's your thing to do it how you wish. Okay, so this is our final trim. We are going to, do you want me to start over?
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. Okay, so this is our final trim. This is the last one, so I'm going to go ahead and put this one on, and then we will be done with our Dreamcatcher. A hot iron would be good to smooth out these trims, and then also you're going to want to take your scissors and even it out a little bit. So, and you'll see once it hangs for a while that they're going to fall. They've been wrapped on a card, and so they get a little bit crumply, but just go ahead and take your fingers and smooth those out. And then once you do get them all straight and ironed out, you can go ahead and do some fun different things with the scissors. You could do this kind of an angle cut to finish off the trim, or you could do a kind of a V cut, that's what I call it, right, like that. Just kind of some different ways. You can just leave them straight, just so it's really organic and fun. And that is your Dreamcatcher. Really easy to make. It's a fun project. If you want to see more of our Crafternoon, please go to hazelandruby.com.